I do that, you're going to turn the switch, you're going to cue me to do it. Okay.
Iowa City Tire and Service, where their
thank you.
customers become friends because they treat you like family. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye Softball.
Now a check on the roads from the Castle Motors Collision Center Traffic Desk.
380 northbound from the airport to Highway 100 at 10 minutes. After 30, watch out for a disabled vehicle off to the right shoulder. On the southbound side at 10 minutes as well. 30 eastbound from Highway 100 to 151 at 14 minutes. Westbound side 12. 100 eastbound from 30 to 151 at 17 minutes. And the westbound side at 19. With your total traffic report for the corridor, I'm Lee Gonzalo.
If you see a traffic problem and can do it safely, give us a call on the Grinnell Mutual Traffic Tip Line, 319-423-6868. Presented locally by First Maxfield Mutual Insurance in Denver.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples is a one-stop shipping solution for small business with packing and shipping supplies and services. Right now, get 15% off UPS Ground and 20% off UPS Express shipping services. Offer ends 4/30. Details at staplesconnect.com/services/shipping. Ship at Staples.
The Hawkeyes play here on AM 800 KXIC, Iowa City's Hawkeye sports leader.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye softball on 800 KXIC.
Welcome back to Iowa Softball on AM 800 KXIC this afternoon. It's a non-conference matchup between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Drake Bulldogs. Head coach Renee Gillespie standing by. And, Coach, it's always great to play the in-state rivals, like a good, solid program like a Drake. And it does disrupt a little bit of the Big Ten season, but I think, the competition is still pretty similar.
Yeah, we always look forward to getting our in-state rivals. We do a Big Four in the fall and get a chance to kind of see each other in the fall season. And so we always make sure that we get UNI, Drake, and Iowa State on our schedule every year. And so it's fun to have Drake back down with us.
The last time you played Drake was back in 2019 in a game over in Des Moines. I remember doing that game. It was a tight game really all the way through.
It was. And we're such a different team back then. And being able to see where we are now and seeing them again a little bit in the fall has helped us to figure out what they're going to be coming and bringing to us today.
You used the term different. What's different about this softball team, right now as you come into this game?
Well, I think it's young. I think they're energized and ready to go up after some of the in-state rivalries. We have a lot of Iowa kids on the team, so you always have that competition from, we played them in high school, and I know who she is. I know how to pitch to her. So it's neat to see that rivalry step up, and Drake has a lot of in-state kids, so we're getting excited about that.
Maryland series this past weekend swept, and I guess you and I can talk about it being an 8-game losing streak going on, but the idea is I think, this team continues to fight as we talked about. They just need to have that breakout moment, it would seem to me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we get the pieces working now. I think all the girls on the same page. It was rough going off of 6 weeks on the road and then getting right into conference. The Oklahoma series was tough, coming off of a loss like that, and so it's just kind of get our mind back on track. Getting some home games is really helpful, and being at home for a while. We're looking forward to being able to have a game where it's not competitive in the Big Ten, and being able to have one where we kind of relax and get back on track. And it's all about just moving forward. And right now we're moving forward.
You think there'll be that non-competitiveness in the Big Ten? I think the Big Ten's pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is I'd rather have Drake and UNI give us a little break from the Big Ten conference schedule, because it's a tough schedule, and we've got Minnesota coming in this weekend and Ohio State, and Nebraska midweek next week. So the next 14 days are going to be really tough in the Big Ten. So it's nice to have a midweek game and be able to just relax a little bit and not know that we're fighting the big dogs.
Talk about your pitching rotation. Just this past weekend in the Maryland series, it seemed that, especially when you got to Game 3, you needed to give some of those younger players, a chance to get into the circle, whether it was for an inning or two. Yeah,
I mean, you look at Emma coming in. She did a great job with us this last weekend. Devin Greer the same way, getting a chance to get some innings in, and we're going to have that in the Big Ten. It's tough to play a 3 games series. They know everything about our pitching right now, and to give them a little bit different look, we need to make sure that those kids are ready to go.
Riley Sheehy, coming into her senior year, has been a pretty steady performer for you, playing in the outfield and even at the plate. And I think, is she still really trying to find her groove right now at this part of the season?
Yeah, she had a good series last week in the first game, and I knew we made some switches last week, and we just wanted to see if we can get some energy going in last weekend's game. So he did a great job in the first series, and we're looking to get her back in the first series today and then this weekend. But she's always solid. She's coming up with a hit. She's finding a way on. She takes a lot of walks. She's able to find a way to get on and help us out. And then the outfield, she's got a strong on and takes care of that left field. So we're looking forward to see her back out there today.
Okay, so coming into this game, heading into the Minnesota series, you can get a lot out of this game.
Yeah, we can. It's kind of our stepping stone into this weekend. It gives us a chance to, it's a one-game series, and midweek being able to be focused on have another home game. And it's always good to be able to. We got a little help here with our dog, with our helper. Mally's coming in to make sure we're okay on this side. Yeah, but yeah, we're just. It's good to have that midweek game and kind of refocus our energies, and then have Minnesota this weekend.
Just interesting, it's just softball. It's just softball. You're continuing. It's the frequency of the games, that you come upon. You have little time really to prepare for. I mean, you just got to go out and play.
Yeah, it is it, and we talk about that. Is that we can't worry about the other team. We just got to worry about and focus on what we can do.
All right, Coach. Best of luck to you today.
Thank you very much.
Iowa head coach Renee Gillespie, as we get ready for Drake and the University of Iowa in the single game series between the in-state rivals. We'll have starting lineups coming up. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Morris Brown from the Browns family of dealerships. We're excited to tell you.
Yeah.
Brad Larson from West Branch Ford is retiring and has been a terrific dealer friend over the years.
After 22 years, I feel great.
Number 33.
Thanks, Brad. Congratulations. We both make customer satisfaction number one priority.
Brown's hometown approach means you will meet some of the friendliest people in the car business.
Number 23.
Now with 5 Eastern Iowa locations offering all the major domestic brands. Be sure to have a new, used vehicle, or RV to fit your needs. Visit any one of the Browns family of dealerships in West Branch, Dyersville, Guttenberg, or Elkader to find out why we're your hometown dealer, no matter where your hometown may be. Or shop online at 4browns.com.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Coming up on the Ben Ferguson podcast all week, Hunter Biden is being sacrificed by the liberal media. They're doing it to protect the president, Joe Biden, yet they're lying to you about Joe's involvement with this corruption. And I'm going to expose all of it to you. Download the Ben Ferguson podcast now.
Hawkeye Sports and Sports. AM 800 KXIC Iowa City. Available everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Now number 1 for podcasting.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball
All
on 800 KXIC.
us fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Always an inspiration getting ready for any sporting event. We've got the national anthem. Welcome back to Bob Pearl Field on the campus of the University of Iowa in Iowa City. I'm Jerry Kawala. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball on AM 800 KXIC in Iowa City. Hawks at 16-16, and the Drake Bulldogs coming in at 9-19. Drake will bat first. Obviously, the visiting team, Emily Valtman, will lead off. She's playing first base. Macy Johnson is playing center field and batting second. Delaney Taylor, junior, is playing right field and batting third. Paige Bedsworth is the pitcher today for Drake. She is just a freshman. She's batting fourth. Libby Ryan is in the number 5 spot. She is senior and out of Mount Vernon. She's a shortstop. Playing as the designated hitter today is number 2, Addie Leitner. She's a sophomore. Skylar Rigby is catching today and a sophomore batting 7th. Michaela Rice is batting 8th. She's playing left field. And Jamie Scheck, a freshman out of Cedar Rapids who prepped at Kennedy High School, is batting 9th, and she is playing second base. Carrie Koenig, a freshman from Iowa City High, is a player. She'll be playing third base, but not in the batting lineup, at least at this point. Your Iowa Hawkeyes, they will have Brody Klosterman leading it off, playing center field. Nia Carter batting second. She's playing right field. Tristan Doster is catching today, batting third. Kalena Burns is playing first base, batting fourth. Denali Lekker, she's pitching today. We'll get to her numbers here shortly. She'll be batting fifth. Roddy Sheehy batting sixth and playing left field. Grace Baines is back at shortstop today, batting seventh. Amber DeSena back in the lineup, didn't play in the Maryland series. She is batting eighth, playing third base. Sophia Morris, the outstanding junior college player, she is playing second base today, batting ninth, and Devin Greer will be the designated hitter today. She is in the number 10 spot and will be batting today. For the Iowa Hawkeyes, in the circle is Denali Lekker. She's taking a look at Emily Valtman in the left-handed batter's box, and the first pitch in this game is underway. It's ball one. Emily Valtman comes in to this game today. She's the second leading hitter on the team with a .318 average. Here is the 1-0 to her. That's called strike one, right down the middle. Again, behind the plate is the freshman Tristan Doster out of Fort Dodge. Really had quite a series and defensively in the Maryland series this past weekend. Here's the 1-1 that now becomes 2 balls and 1 strike. Valtman now a 3-year player for the Drake Bulldogs, one of the many returnees that they do have. A lot of experience. That's why the record is so deceiving for them to come in with a 9-19 record. Drake played a doubleheader yesterday against Illinois State in Bloomington, normal, and all of a sudden they come here to Iowa City to play a single game today. That the games yesterday were postponed from last week. Here is the 3-1. And it now becomes ball 4, and Emily Valtman will draw a walk to begin this game. Denali Lekker comes into the game, making her 8th start and her 24th appearance. She has a 9-5 record, pitched 89 2/3 innings. She's the leading pitcher with innings pitched for the Hawks this year. Brianna Vasquez with 76. But Denali Lekker has given up 80 hits, 55 runs, 35 of them earned. She's facing Macy Johnson, whom I talked about at the outset of this broadcast. She, the 2021 NBC Scholar Athlete of the Year in the Missouri Valley, All Midwest Region first team, and she was a Missouri Valley Conference first team player a year ago, but she's been on the all-conference team for 3 seasons in her 5 years of playing. Here's one that she'll just dribble to third base. Amber DeSena quickly picks it up. Nice scoop by Amber DeSena, charging down the third base line, and got the speedy Macy Johnson at first base for the first out. It does move Emily Valtman on to second and in scoring position. Delaney Taylor will step to the plate. Delaney, the number 3 hitter on the team for the Drake Bulldogs, a right-hander. She's batting .306. 19 hits and 62 at-bats. A couple of doubles and a home run to her credit. She also, with a dozen runs batted in, has a teammate on at second base in Emily Valtman. And she looks at a pitch that's down and in on her. One ball and no strikes on Delaney Taylor from Denali Lekker. And a pitch again that's right across the plate. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. There's 1 out. Lekker last pitched and was involved in a decision last weekend in game number 2 at Maryland. She took the loss in the 10-2 loss in that second game. Her record comes in at 9-5. Here's a pitch that called strike 2. Nice off-speed pitch. Handcuffed Delaney Taylor at the plate. And Denali Lekker ahead in the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch that's a bounder to Grace Baines at short. She'll pick it, fire it across the diamond, and get it to Kalena Burns in time for the ground out. That's 2 outs in the Drake Bulldog top of the first inning. It'll bring up Paige Bedsworth. Bedsworth batting for herself as pitcher here today. 295 hitter, 18 hits and 61 at bats. She's got 4 doubles, also with 12 runs batted in, and has teammate Emily Valtman at second base. Here is the first pitch to her that's called strike 1 from Denali Lekker. Lekker, the sophomore from Ogden, had a fine freshman year last year. Finding her way through her sophomore year here, but adding in pitching duties at a greater volume. And so that takes, a lot of energy, a lot of concentration for not only to pitch in the circle, but also when you're hitting for yourself. She doesn't always hit for herself. Here's the 1-1, and it's a pitch that's fouled back into the backstop by Bedsworth. Bedsworth, freshman out of Fulton, Missouri. Denali Lekker ahead in the count at a ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs, runner at second. Here's the pitch that's a bounder, and Amber DeSena does a great job to charge, pick it up, and fire across the diamond to Kalena Burns. So 2 putouts today for Amber DeSena in this first inning alone. And the Hawks strand a runner at second base of the Drake Bulldogs, and we'll head into the bottom of the first inning. Coming to the plate, we're scoreless. Iowa and Drake. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Refugees have been displaced from their country. They need our help now. iHeart Radio has teamed up with Global Citizen, asking supporters around the world to use their voices to call on world leaders to mobilize urgent refugee relief and humanitarian aid. Join us this weekend for Stand Up for Ukraine. Find out how you can help by donating to relief organizations.
And today we honor and celebrate our military service members and first responders. We take this opportunity to thank our military service members, veterans, police officers, firefighters, and all of our first responders for their service and sacrifice.
Welcome back to Bob Pearl Field here on the University of Iowa campus as the Hawks hosting the Drake Bulldogs this afternoon. In a single game, the Hawks will be welcoming in the Minnesota Gophers this weekend for games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And be alerted to the fact that Friday's game will be in inclement weather, being the temperature won't even get up to 40 degrees. They're saying now in the upper 30s with winds at 30 to 40 miles per hour out of the west-northwest, creating a mighty wind chill. So just be alert to that fact that that game perhaps might be moved, but for now it's still a 5 o'clock game on Friday afternoon. Hawks come to the plate. Briley Klosterman steps to the plate. Briley with a 247 average, 21 hits and 85 at bats, 7 doubles and a home run in the Maryland series. Briley was able to get a hit in 5 at bats. She also walked 3 times. One of the hits she stroked was a double, that back in game 1. She's up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. On the pitcher, Bedsworth, Paige Bedsworth. Now it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Brody, left-hander from North Liberty, prepped at Iowa City Liberty High School. Here's the 1-1 to her, an off-speed pitch, and she gets well out in front of. She's down on the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Bedsworth making her second start of the season with 31 and a third innings pitched, 31 hits, 25 runs, 22 earned, thus a 6.32 ERA. Ahead of the count on Bradley Klosterman, and up and in on her, and it just grazes the back of her right arm, and so Brody Klosterman, hit by a pitch, will head down to first base. And that'll bring up Nia Carter. Nia having a fine junior year. Batting average at .423, was at .456 last weekend heading into the Maryland series. She did not collect a hit in that series. Here's the first pitch to her that she bunts, and she'll bunt it right back to Bedsworth. And the cover over at first by the second baseman for the Drake Bulldogs. Jamie Scheck gets Nia Carter just by a half a step. So the sacrifice bunt will move Brody Klosterman off over to second base. Tristan Doster now will step into the right-handed batter's box, the number 3 hitter, freshman from Fort Dodge. .328 average coming into the game here. Doster with 19 hits and 58 at-bats. 4 doubles, a triple, and 5 home runs. Hit a home run last weekend against the Maryland Terrapins. That in the 3rd game of the series, the 6-2 loss on Sunday. Here's the 1-0 to her. She gets a good cut at it and will foul it into the backstop. After Tristan will be Kalena Burns. So 1 ball and 1 strike. Here comes the pitch from Bedsworth. Right-hander to right-hander, an off-speed pitch that gets Tristan Doster well out in front, so Bedsworth ahead in the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Brody Klosterman at second base. Bottom of the first, we're scoreless, 1 out. Here's the pitch that Doster gets a hold of. She'll hit it over center field. It'll bounce off the top of the wall and bounce right back to the center fielder, who wheels and turns it in, but not nearly in time to have a play at the plate. So Brody Klosterman will score from second base. And with a sliding double is Tristan Doster, giving the Hawks a 1-0 lead. She got a hold of a pitch, knocked it off the wall, just down from the very tip of the wall. But nevertheless, center fielder played it nicely to get it back into the infield, but Brody Klosterman able to score. Now Doster at second base, and it's Kalena Burns at the plate. One ball and no strikes, the count on Kalena. Here's one that she'll lift up into the infield. Jamie Scheck at second base will move in and make the catch. Doster remains at second base. For Tristan Doster, at the 5th double of the season. 5 home runs, 5 doubles. She got a lot of that one, just didn't get it all. Got up underneath it. Wind helped it just a little bit. Of course, wind out of the west and southwest, which is blowing out to right center field here at Bob Pearl Field. Here's Denali Lekker looking at a pitch that's an off-speed pitch. 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the first inning. Iowa leads this game 1-0. And Denali Lekker at the plate. 280 hitter, 23 hits and 82 at-bats, and she'll foul this one back off the backstop. Hit the top of the press box here. Denali with 23 hits and 82 at-bats. 3 doubles, 1 triple, and she has blasted 4 home runs, so she's certainly with long ball potential. Down in the count, though, at no balls and 2 strikes to Paige Bedsworth. Here is the pitch from Bedsworth, and a pitch that Denali will take a swing at and miss, and the Hawks are out of their bottom of the first inning, but Brody Klosterman walks, got to second on a sacrifice by Nia Carter, and scored on the double by Tristan Doster for the Hawks to take this 1-0 lead as we head into the top of the second inning. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
Welcome back to Bob Pearl Field on a Wednesday afternoon, a non-conference matchup between the Hawks and the Drake Bulldogs. Iowa leads in 1-0 after one inning of play. Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. So Denali Lekker stepping back into the circle for the Hawks in top of the second inning. Bulldogs got a runner on in their first at-bat. Couldn't push her across. We'll have Libby Ryan step to the right-handed batter's box. Libby, a local young lady out of Mount Vernon. Libby Ryan, a .217 hitter, 15 hits and 69 at-bats. 3 doubles and a triple to her credit. Here's the first pitch to her that's called strike one from Denali Lekker. Denali up in the count at no balls and 1 strike. Just getting underway here in the top of the second inning. Libby Ryan strides forward and elects not to swing, and a nice off-speed pitch by Lekker will make the count now at no balls and 2 strikes. Very overcast day, as you can imagine, here today. Very windy out of the west-southwest. High wind warnings are definitely out, so please be cautious as you move about. Denali did pitch twice last weekend in the Maryland series. She went an inning on the game Sunday, 2 innings on Saturday's game. When she started, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, 4 of them were earned. Here's the 1-2 to Libby Ryan. She check swings, and the umpire is going to say she went far enough across the plate. And it's the first strikeout recorded for Denali Lekker this afternoon. Got to bring up Addie Leitner. Addie Leitner comes in with a .268 average, 15 hits and 56 at-bats. 7 doubles. She has a home run to her credit, so she has long ball material. She's the sophomore out of Blue Springs, Missouri. Here's the first pitch to her that she swings at and will foul it into the backstop. Iowa on the season in the field has had a problem handling ground balls and even flyouts. 52 errors by this Iowa Hawkeye softball team has led to a number of runs by opposition. Here's one that Addie Leitner laces out into left field just past the outstretched glove of Amber DeSena. So the first hit of the day for the Bulldogs by Addie Leitner puts her at first. Will bring up Skylar Rigby, sophomore catcher, batting 7th. Skylar Rigby, a 114 hitter. This is just her 14th start in 22 games. Here is the pitch that she'll bounce to DeSena. Picks it up, fires to second. They're going to fire on to first. Will they get the double play? No, they do not. Amber DeSena getting the force at second on Addie Leitner. But the relay from Morris to Burns just not quite in time. Tough to do. The short distance to these bases. But nevertheless, the Hawks get the second out of the inning, and it brings up Michaela Rice. Michaela Rice batting .262. 17 hits and 65 at-bats. A double and home run are her long ball credits. Has a first pitch strike called on her, so she's down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. We're in the top of the second. Iowa leads this game 1-0. 2 outs in Drake's at bat. Here's the pitch from Denali Lekker. Pitch that's down and away, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, the fans that braved the weather to come out here and enjoy this today, there were a number of young softball players who were able to mingle with the University of Iowa softball team prior to the game. Here's the 1-1 pitch that's up and away. Michaela Rice will not chase it. Michaela Rice, a sophomore from Lee's Summit, Missouri. Outside of the Kansas City area, here's the 2-1 that is swung on and missed. Nice placement by Denali Lekker. So that evens the count at 2-2 on Michaela Rice. Runner at first base in Skylar Rigby. Here is the 2-2, one that's bounced just out of the reach of Denali Lekker in the circle. Grace Baines trying to come in and make the play. Bounces off the heel of her glove, and that will be recorded as an error on Baines. Baines with their 17th error committed on the season. Puts runners at first and second. Rich Calvert in his 20th season with the Drake Bulldogs. Talking to the home plate umpire. Looks like they're going to make a switch. And coming into bat for Drake will be Carrie Koenig. Koenig, an Iowa City native, played with Iowa City High. Had an outstanding high school career. Part of a large Koenig family that's kind of spread out around Iowa City, West Liberty, West Branch. Her father was her high school softball coach, Jeff Koenig. She'll step into the batter's box. Carey batting .130, 6 hits and 40 at-bats. Has a double and a triple to her, or a double and a home run to her credit. Facing Denali Lekker. 2 outs, runners at first and second for the Bulldogs. Here's the first pitch to her, and it's ball down and in. One ball and no strikes now as Denali Lekker looks at the pitch call on the right wrist. And here's one that hits down the right field line, right on the line. Chasing it into the corner is Nia Carter. A run will score. Carrie Koenig on her way to third base. They're going to gun her down. Nice relay from right to Sophia Morris to Amber DeSena to gun down Carrie Koenig. She will get a double and then is thrown out. From Nia Carter to Sophia Morris to Amber DeSena at third base. But nevertheless, Rigby will score, as will Michaela Rice. And Drake will take a 2-1 lead as we head into the bottom of the second inning. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800, KXIC from Learfield.
Whether you're building a fence to protect your children, pets, or adding curb appeal, Easy Fence by Spec Rail does the job. Constructed of durable aluminum, it will ensure lasting beauty without ever rusting. Use the free fencing estimator to get instant pricing available on Menards.com and at the store. Save 11% on your entire project. Good through April 9th. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
What a nice relay will stop the Drake Bulldogs in their tracks as Carrie Koenig tried to stretch a double into a triple. Gunned down by the nice throwing, good relay from Nia Carter to Sophia Morris, who was just out in the grass in right field. And then a direct shot to Amber DeSena at third base. And they had Carrie Koenig by about 3 steps, but it was a 2-run double for Carrie. And it gives the Drake Bulldogs a 2-1 lead as we head into the bottom of the second inning. Riley Sheehy will step into the batter's box, left-handed batter's box. Had 3 hits in the Maryland series last weekend, did not play in game 3. Had 2 hits in game number 1 and an RBI. She stole a couple of bases, and she also had a hit in the second game of the series in a couple at bats. Riley Sheehy batting .245, the senior out of Newtown, Pennsylvania. Here is the pitch to her. Now it's 2 balls and no strikes on Sheehy out of Newtown, Pennsylvania, as I mentioned, just as west of Trenton, New Jersey, and about an hour northeast of Philadelphia. Had an interesting path to the University of Iowa by way of South Carolina upstate. Hawks are glad to have her here. Head coach Renee Gillespie praising her play, not only at the plate, but in the outfield. Good quick judgment out in left field. Very fast in there. Here's one that she'll lift down the left field line. Will it get foul? It does. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on the senior Riley Sheehy. Grace Baines is set next. And Amber DeSena in the hole in this at-bat for the Hawks. Trailing 2-1. We're in the bottom of the second inning. Here is the 2-2 to Riley, a pitch that's down and away. So it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Riley a year ago finished the season on a 4-game hitting streak. That all in the Illinois series. Kind of getting off to a slower start this year. Here's a pitch that's off speed that she gets out after, and she'll strike out. That is strikeout number 2 for Bedsworth in this game. And Paige Bedsworth on the season has struck out 16 batters, so not an overpowering pitcher. But has Drake with 1 out on the Hawks. Here's one that Grace Baines will lift into the infield right behind first base, bringing it in. She stepped across first base outside of the first base line, and then the wind carried it back into play, and she had to reach up there and make the catch, was Emily Valtman. So that's 2 gone in Iowa's bottom of the second inning. Amber DeSena at the plate. Did not play in the Maryland series this past weekend. Looks at the first pitch from Bedsworth. That's upstairs, so it's ball 1. Amber on a .204 hitter with 11 hits and 54 at-bats. 4 doubles are her extra base hits on the season. Ahead in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch, one that she'll lace out into left field, and a base hit for Amber DeSena. Stepping to the plate, swinging the bat on a 0-1 pitch. And she gets a 2-out single. First hit for Amber since game 1 of the Wisconsin series. So, and again, she didn't play against Maryland last weekend, so kind of a short 2-game non-hitting streak. But she has started the new hitting streak with this single right now. Sophia Morris will step to the plate, the left-handed hitter out of Johnston. By way of Des Moines Area Community College, she has arrived at the University of Iowa. Here's the first pitch from Bedsworth that's off speed. She the reigning junior college player of the year out of Des Moines Area Community College last year. She led junior college ranks in 6 different hitting categories. She's up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the 1-0 now becomes 2 balls and no strikes. She led them in runs, scored with 105, hits with 117, 29 home runs, 92 runs batted in, 234 in the total base area, and she walked 40 times. Sounds like a junior college player of the year season to me. Off to a nice start here for the Hawks in her junior year. Here's one that she'll lift out into center field, and camping underneath it and making the easy catch was Macy Johnson. So after getting a 2-out single from Amber DeSena, Sophia Morris, the number 9 hitter, will lift one out to center field where Macy Johnson takes care of it. And the Hawks are down in the bottom of the second inning. We'll head to the top of the third with Drake leading Iowa 2-1. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Go to iHeartRadio.com/talk. This has been brought to you by NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and iHeartMedia.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committed to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same-day, next-day appointments available, no referral needed. Learn more by visiting uihc.org/sports medicine. Glad to have them along on Iowa Hawkeye softball broadcast here in the 2022 season. Drake will get to the top of the order. Emily Valtman at the plate. She walked in her first at-bat. Stranded at second base. Looks at a pitch that's down and in on her, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Denali Lekker in the circle for the Hawks. 9-5 record coming in. Had a 9-2 record coming out of the non-conference season. Got into some of that Big Ten conference competition. Different kind of play. Count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. On Emily Valtman, here's the 1-1. She'll foul it into the Drake dugout. So it's a ball and 2 strikes. Valtman coming into the game at .318. Just 3 Drake hitters over the 300 mark in batting. Macy Johnson leading at .371. Valtman second, 28 hits and 89 at-bats. Now here is the 1-2 that she will not chase. That's outside and down. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, the wind's very stiff out of the south and southwest. Iowa flag, national, the Old Glory, and the Big Ten flag. Here's the pitch that's down and in, and Valtman goes after it and will strike out. So that is the second strikeout of the game for Denali Lekker and the first out of the top of the 3rd inning. Yeah, the flag's at the top of those flagpoles. They are whipping strongly against this wind. Again, 30 to 40 miles per hour, only to stay as bad as they are for the next 48 hours and get a little colder. Here is the first pitch to Macy Johnson, who looked like she was going to bunt and pulls the bat back, but strike 1 is called. Macy at .371 coming into the game. Grounded out to Amber DeSena in her first at bat. Here's the 0-1 from Denali Lekker. Pitch that's down and in on Macy Johnson. She has to shuffle back and get away from it. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Macy Johnson, MVC, Missouri Valley Conference first-team player for 2 years, back in 2019 and a year ago. And also back in 2018 when she was a second-team performer for the Drake Bulldogs. Out of Winterset. Here's a pitch that gets up away from Denali Lekker, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike on the graduate senior Macy Johnson. Here's the 2-1 from Denali, a pitch that's bounced. It's a high hopper. Nice play by Grace Baines to pick it up. A very quick play, nice run down that first base line. The umpire calls her out. Grace had to charge in, had to play the very short hop, was able to scoop it and get it across to Kalena Burns for out number 2 in the Drake Bulldogs top of the 3rd. Delaney Taylor steps to the batter's box, right-handed batter's box. The junior playing right field. Grounded out to Grace Baines in her first at-bat. Here's the pitch to her. She swings that and misses on an off-speed pitch. Delaney Taylor, junior from Waukee, right outside of Des Moines. 3rd leading hitter on the team and the 3rd hitter over 300. She's at .306. 19 hits and 63 at-bats with her first at-bat this afternoon. Looks at a pitch that's on the outside corner. So Denali Lekker ahead in the count here at 0 balls and 2 strikes on Delaney Taylor. Here's the 0-2 from Lekker, and it's a pitch that's hit right down the first base line, right over top of first base and into the right field into the corner. Nia Carter picking it up in a relay from Sophia Maras all the way across to Kalena Burns. Almost identical to the one in the previous inning when they got Carrie Koenig, but they weren't able to get Delaney Taylor, so she will be credited with a triple. It was right over the top of first base down the right field line and into the corner. And now head coach Renee Gillespie is going to ask the umpires for some kind of a clarification here. And she has them talking. I thought it went right over first base. It did bounce out into foul territory after it was over top of the bag, and it was right over top of the bag, so that'll be a fair ball, and that's what the umpires have determined. And she will remain at third base is Delaney Taylor. Delaney with her first triple of the season. Now head coach Renee Gillespie is walking out to the circle to have a chat with this Iowa Hawkeye defense. Home of the Hawkeyes, Finkbine Golf Course and Bumps Restaurant is open for the 2022 golf season, featuring 18 holes of public golf as well as handcrafted American fare. Stop by today to enjoy quality golf and food. And, of course, the Masters Golf Tournament begins tomorrow from Augusta, Georgia. Hopefully they can have a nice weekend. I know some severe thunderstorms have moved through there and are moving through there as we speak, but I think they're going to be gone by the time the tournament begins. Delaney Taylor did not have a triple hit last year at all. It's her first one this year. Here's the batter in Paige Bedsworth, who is batting in the number 4 spot. Bedsworth, the number 4 hitter on the team at .295, 18 hits in 62 at-bats. She grounded out to Amber DeSena in her first at-bat. Has a teammate on at third base. That is Delaney Taylor, who just poked a triple down the right field line. Bedsworth even in the count at a ball and a strike. 2 gone. Drake's top of the third inning. The Bulldogs leading the Hawks 2-1. Here's the 1-1 from Denali Lekker. An off-speed pitch gets Bedsworth out in front of that. Fools are on that off-speed pitch. And ahead in the count is Denali Lekker. Well, Denali on the season. It's her third triple that she has given up on the season. Here is a pitch that's a swing and a miss. And down on strikes is Bedsworth. The runner stranded at third base. The third strikeout of the game for Denali Lekker. Will head to the bottom of the third. The Hawks coming to the plate. It'll be the top of the order. And Brody Klosterman, you're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
We know Iowa grows a lot of corn, but in reality, corn grows Iowa. Corn grows our livestock, our economy, and our athletes. Put on your best face for the Iowa Corn Cam. Follow Iowa Corn on Facebook to be corn-fed. Hawks and Bulldogs waging war here at Bob Pearl Field. The Hawks with a good outing here heading into the Minnesota series coming in this weekend. Of course, Minnesota doesn't have the Amber Pfizer that they had once had that was so dominant in the circle, but it's still a pretty good hitting Minnesota team. They're trying to find that pitching. They come in on Friday. That'll be a 5 o'clock start on Friday. 5 o'clock Friday, 2 o'clock Saturday, and a noon game on Sunday, the Iowa-Minnesota series. But the Hawks need to get through this one first. It's the Drake Bulldogs and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Brody Klosterman will step to the plate. She got hit by a pitch in her first at-bat. Here is the first pitch to her that she'll check swing down the third base line. Hit by a pitch, and she scored on the double by Tristan Doster to give Iowa the 1-0 lead. Back in the first inning. Brody been pretty steady all season long. Started the season on a 5-game hitting streak and had hit safely in 8 of the first 9 games. And then went on a 7-game hitless streak. Before just kind of getting steady every other game, getting a couple of back-to-back games where she's getting hits. Sophomore from North Liberty, prepping at Iowa City Liberty High School. Down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. From Bedsworth, here's one that she'll lift down the third base line and foul. Out of play. So the count remains the same at no balls and 2 strikes. In the Maryland series last weekend, Briley with a hit in 5 at-bats. She did walk 3 times. In one game, she walked a total of 5 times all weekend. Here's the 0-2 from Bedsworth, the pitch that's off speed and upstairs. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on the sophomore. I always like to mention that Briley's uncle, former Iowa baseball player and Major League player, Wes Obermuller. Here's one that she'll tap right to first base. Can she beat it out? She did not. Nice cover by Scheck from second to first. First baseman Emily Valtman had to charge in to get it, and they work on that so often it's kind of become a routine play, and they get Briley Klosterman at first. 1 out, and it brings up Nia Carter. Carter out of Rancho Cucamonga, California. Here's the first pitch that she'll lift just over second base, and in front of the right fielder. She went back to get it and then had to come in and had to dive for it. It hit the ground before it hit her glove and then rolled forward. And at the same time, Nia Carter around first base on her way to second. I mean, either it's a double or it's going to be a single and an error on the right fielder. But Nia Carter was not stopping whatsoever around first base. And now they're out to check on the right fielder. She hit the ground, turf pretty hard out there and diving for that. Again, she went back to begin with and then realized it was short, and so she tried to come in on it. Makes a diving effort forward. It bounced in front of her. She kept it in front of her, and in the meantime, Nia Carter around first base on her way to second. And a double credited to Nia Carter on the hit, her second of the season. So she'll be standing at second base. Tristan Doster, freshman from Fort Dodge, in the right-handed batter's box. They're still tending to the right fielder for the Drake Bulldogs. She's now evaluating her right shoulder. That's Delaney Taylor, the junior. I believe they're going to take her out. Struggling a little bit to move that right arm, so they do have a new right fielder out there. Now it's interesting that Drake is in white uniforms and they have white numbers that are outlined in blue, and still makes it very difficult to read the numbers. So we'll see if we can't get for you who is out there in right field, replacing Delaney Taylor. Nia Carter a year ago in the 2021 season had 2 doubles. She has her first of the season here. Excuse me, her second of the season. And she's at second base with 1 out. Tristan Doster at the plate. Doster hit one off the wall in her last at-bat and a double to score Briley Klosterman. Doster ahead in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here is the pitch from Bedsworth, called strike 1. Right down the middle, going to make her throw a strike, and she does. Tristan herself started the season on a 5-game hitting streak, and 2 of those 5 games were multi-hit games, both of them 2. She takes a good cut at this one, and she'll foul it back into the backstop. Had 3 hits in Game 3 in the Maryland series last Sunday. One of them a home run, her 5th of the season. Here's the 1-2 that she'll bounce to short and across to the diamond for the out. Libby Ryan making the play. That'll move Nia Carter to third with 2 outs on the ground out by Tristan Doster, and it brings up Kalenna Burns. Now Burns popped up to Sheck at second base in her first at bat. .236 average coming into the game. Here's an off-speed pitch that's called strike one. 17 hits in now 73 at-bats. Burns, though, with some long ball ability. 3 doubles and a home run on the season, 12 runs batted in. Has a teammate in Nia Carter at third. Hawks trail 2-1. We're in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and a pitch that's upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. On the junior from Corona, California, in the Bay Area. And a specific location is right next to Pleasant Hill. Knew a family out of Pleasant Hill. Here's one that Kalenna gets underneath, but she'll lift it high and into center field, and an easy play for Macy Johnson. So that'll end the Hawks here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Nia Carter pokes a double, gets to third base, but can't move any further. Drake leads it 2-1. We're headed to the top of the 4th inning. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
And the Drake Bulldogs and the Iowa Hawkeyes battling it out here today. Iowa Hawkeye baseball down in Bradley here this evening. It'll start at 6 o'clock. I want to congratulate outfielder Keaton Anthony, Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the 3rd time this season. 2 multi-hit games this past weekend with at least a hit in each game against the Michigan Wolverines. The 2 multi-hit games were his 9th and 10th of the season. He had 4 runs batted in and a run scored. In Game 2 of the series, he was 2 for 3 with a double. In Game 3, 3 for 5 from the plate, including a 3-run home run, his 4th home run of the season, and 4 runs batted in that game alone. Congratulations to Keaton Anthony. The Hawks at Bradley today will be home this weekend, hosting the Fighting Illini in a Big Ten series. Rick Heller's got them going again. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. And the first batter of the inning for the Drake Bulldogs is Libby Ryan. Ryan struck out in her first at-bat today. 15 of 70 coming in to this at-bat. 3 doubles and a triple to her credit. Here's the 0-1, that's 1 ball and 1 strike. Ryan last year was a second-team all-conference performer. She also was second team in the 2019 season when she tied a single-season record with 26 stolen bases. Here's the 1-1 from Denali Lekker, a bounder, 1 hopper right at Amber DeSena. She was playing about 4 strides down and 2 in on the third base line and played that hop perfectly. And across the diamond to Kalenna Burns for the first out. That'll bring up Addie Leitner, sophomore designated hitter. Leitner at 268 coming into this at-bat. Singled in her first at-bat today. Now 16 of 57 at the plate. 7 doubles and a home run to her credit. Here's the first pitch, off-speed pitch, down and in. Nice pitch by Denali Lekker. Kalenna Burns at first. Sophia Morris at second base. Grace Baines at short. And Amber DeSena playing third base. Riley Sheehy in left. Bradley Klosterman in center and Nia Carter in right. Outfield is playing a little bit shallow. Here's one that's bounced right in front of the plate. And foul. Goes foul. So down in the count is Addie Leitner at no balls and 2 strikes. as I talked about, Drake has played some pretty stiff competition this year. Played Iowa State and beat Iowa State. They beat Purdue back on the 27th of February. Here's the 0-2 from Denali Lekker. A pitch that swung on and missed, dropped at the plate, and thrown down to first base by Tristan Doster to Kalena Burns, and 2 gone. Also, they played against LSU. They took number 19 Michigan into extra innings on the 5th of March, holding them scoreless through the initial 7 innings, and then Michigan would go on to win that game by 1-0. They played Texas. So they've got some pretty good competition. That's why I think their record of 9-19 is relatively deceiving. At the plate is Skylar Rigby, sophomore catcher. Up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here is the 1-0 from Denali Lekker. Pitch that just off the plate on the outside, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. 2-zip, 2 runs for Drake in the top of the second. 2 RBI double by Carrie Koenig. She got thrown out at third, trying to stretch a double into a triple. But the Bulldogs scored those 2 runs to take a 2-1 lead. Here's a high hopper. Nice reach up high by Amber DeSena. Fires over to first base, and the Hawks put down Drake 1-2-3. And for Amber DeSena, that's the 4th play that she has made at third here today. That a quick inning for the Hawks. They need to come to the plate in the bottom of the 4th inning, trailing 2-1. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
And I'm Jack O'Brien, and we want to tell you about our new podcast, Miles Jack Got Mad Boosties, an NBA podcast from iHeartRadio.
This is a weekly podcast about all the amazing moments that keep NBA fans coming back for more.
Basically, if you love basketball and you like to laugh, listen to Miles and Jack Got Mad Boosties, an NBA podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
Welcome back to Bob Pearl Field on the campus of the University of Iowa in Iowa City. Beautiful stadium. Kind of an ugly day, but it is what it is in early March. You deal with this kind of weather, just adjust to it. The fans have come out today, and they are dressed warmly. They're dressed in layers, stocking caps, all kinds of Iowa Hawkeye stuff. These fans just love their Iowa softball. They'll be out in full force this weekend when Minnesota comes to town. Again, that's Friday, a 5 o'clock start. Saturday is a 2 o'clock start. And then Sunday's game will be a noontime game with the Minnesota Gophers. Then the Hawks will head to Nebraska for a doubleheader on Tuesday. They'll head out there on Monday. 2 games on Tuesday. We'll have both of those for you. Neither one of them will be radio. The next radio game after this one will be the Ohio State series next weekend. And coming to the plate is Denali Lekker. Denali struck out in her first at-bat. Hit in just 1 game last weekend. She did a pinch hitting role. Here is the 1-0 She gets a good cutout but can't make any contact and is even in the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Did have 1 pinch hit in the Maryland series in game 1 last weekend, and no result from it other than it just shows up on her profile. Here's the 1-1 from Bedsworth, an off-speed pitch that's upstairs. 2 balls and 1 strike. Denali out of Ogden, second-team All-Big Ten a year ago. She was on the All-Big Ten freshman team. Really had quite the season last year. 322 average. Here's one that she'll lift into foul territory. Will it get out of play? It just does over top of the fence line at the backstop. So it's a 2-2 count. Denali Lekker, again from Ogden. She was born in Denali, Alaska, thus her name. I'm sure you were wondering if there wasn't some kind of connection. There's no question that there is. Even in the count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now this delay as Denali adjusts the batting gloves. Steps back in. Now she's ready to go. Paige Bedsworth in the circle. Here's the 2-2, one that she'll lift up into the air to push Macy Johnson back. Can the wind drift it back? It does a little bit. at the warning track, and she catches it and bounces off of the wall. Denali got underneath it, gave it a lift, but just not enough to get out. It was in the right direction with the wind blowing out from the south and southwest, but not far enough to keep Macy Johnson from making the catch. One out in Iowa's bottom of the fourth inning. That'll bring up Riley Sheehy. Sheehy in her first at-bat struck out. Here's the first pitch from Bedsworth to her. Riley, a .245 hitter coming into the game. 12 hits and now 50 at-bats. No extra base hits for Riley. Had 8 multi-hit games a year ago. 2 of them were 3-hit games. Here's the 0-1 to her that's off the plate. That in 44 games started. She started every game in the outfield. Every game. Did not miss a series. And the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the pitch from Bedsworth. One that inside on Sheehy. She'll fist it just foul down the third base line. Neither Ryan from short or Carrie Koenig at third base could get to it. So she remains alive in this at bat, but down on the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Here is the 1-2, an off-speed pitch that's off the plate. In her first season as a Hawkeye, started 13 of 17 games. During the pandemic year that was halted in mid-March, she had 12 hits and 32 at-bats. I think she was really looking for a breakout part of her career. Here's one that she'll hit right to first base. Nice scoop over there by Altman. Had to backhand it, played the hop perfectly, and does so. 2 gone in Iowa's bottom of the fourth. Grace Baines now at the plate. Sophomore shortstop from Kansas City, Kansas. Just north and west of Kansas City, right off of Interstate 435. Here's the first pitch from Bedsworth that's down and in on Grace. Grace had a hit in 5 at-bats in the Maryland series last weekend, did score a run. Up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Bedsworth, an off-speed pitch, line drive right at Koenig at third base. She had to backhand it just off of the turf and comes up with the catch. So that line drive makes it out number 3 in Iowa's bottom of the fourth inning. We go to the top of the fifth. It's Drake 2 and Iowa 1. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield. We're heading into the top of the fifth inning. The Drake Bulldogs will be coming to the plate. University of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committed to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same-day, next-day appointments available. No referral needed. Learn more by visiting uihc.org/sportsmedicine. Stepping into the batter's box for the Drake Bulldogs, Michaela Rice. Michaela reached on an error in her first at-bat. Second-year player, 17 and 65, 262 batting average, a double and a home run to her credit. So she does have a little pop in that bat. Here's Denali Lekker with the first pitch to her. And it's the one that's down and in, and Rice goes after it, doesn't make contact, and she's down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. Looks like we had a little rain making its way by us, just one of those little passing balloons that explode. Just a few raindrops, and then it moves on. That's kind of what we'll be expecting here this afternoon, just some intermittent light showers, if any at all, really. But it's possible. No balls and 2 strikes on Michaela Rice, sophomore left fielder. Here's the pitch from Lekker, pitch that bounced right back to Denali. And she'll trot over towards first, underhand it to Kalena Burns, and that's out number 1 in Drake's top of the 5th inning. It'll bring up Jamie Scheck. Now, Scheck had a tremendous career at Cedar Rapids Kennedy. She played in the field and was a major pitcher, along with Kaylin Kinney. Kinney, of course, is now at the University of Nebraska. Scheck would have been a junior her Kinney's senior year 2 years ago. And she's ahead of the count here at 1 ball and no strikes. 2-1 the lead for the Drake Bulldogs. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Here's the 1-0 from Denali Lekker. That's down and in, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. Wind continues to howl from the south and the southwest, saying at 30 to 40 miles per hour. Here is the 2-0 that's down and in again, so it's 3 balls and no strikes. 46 degrees right now in Iowa City. Winds are out of the west at 26 miles per hour, and there's a wind chill of about 38. So it's a little bit warmer than what we had a couple of weeks ago, and a pitch that's down and away. So 4 consecutive balls and a walk is issued to Jamie Scheck. And so with Scheck at first base, we get to the top of the order. Emily Valtman. Valtman is 0 for 1 on the day with a walk. That back in the first inning when she was stranded at second base. She struck out in her only official at bat on the day. No balls and 1 strike. Here's the 0-1 from Denali Lekker. Pitch that off speed. Nice pitch by Denali. And that gets Valtman out in front. Valtman, a junior out of Newton, just down the road from, about a little closer to Des Moines than Iowa City. Here's one that gets away from Tristan Doster. And on the throw down to second base as Jamie Scheck goes to second base, it gets away from Sophia Maris, and she'll move on to third base. So they'll give her a stolen base. So she goes to second on the wild pitch and then on to third. That's where she sits now. Pitch was upstairs on Tristan Doster, popped out of her glove and did the backstop, and it sent Jamie Scheck on to second base. And then the throw down to second got away from Sophia Maris out into the outfield, and so she races to third. And that's where she is with 1 out. Emily Valtman remains at the plate. Valtman, the first baseman. One ball and 2 strikes now on Emily Valtman. With 1 out, runner at third base. Drake leads it 2-1. Top of the 5th. Here is the 1-2, a pitch that's down and away. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Drake trying to add a little bit pressure to this Hawkeye defense. Try to push across another run. 1 out, 2-2 pitch that Valtman will reach out and tap foul. into the backstop. So the count remains the same at 2-2. Denali Lekker making her 9th start of the season. Has gone this far all the way through this point. 4 1/3 innings. Still looking pretty good. They haven't really tagged her with much. Drake with 2 runs and 3 hits. Iowa with a run on 3 hits. Iowa has committed a couple of errors. And for Iowa, those are errors 53 and 54 on the season. Here's the 2-2 from Denali Lekker. Off-speed pitch that Valtman gets around on, rips it fouled on the right field line and out of play. It's the ground crew scampering away from each other over there. Saw it coming. So we return to normal. Same count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Valtman squares to bunt. She'll be pulling the bat back to swing. Here's the pitch that, again, she gets around on, and this time she rips it into the Drake dugout. So we'll have another 2-2 pitch from Denali Lekker. To Emily Valtman. Here is the 2-2. One again as she'll get out in front of and pull it down the first base right field line. Denali on the season has thrown 4 complete games. The opening game of the season against Liberty. And the count remains the same at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, 2-1 Drake with a runner at third. Here's the pitch. This is the bounder at Kalena Burns. She'll throw to home to Doster. Sheck faked that she was going to be running home. It caused Kalena Burns to throw the ball to Doster at home. They didn't have a play at first. So that puts Valtman at first base on the fielder's choice. Sheck remains at third. And with 1 out, it brings up the sharp-hitting Macy Johnson. Hawks have done a nice job with Macy so far. 2 groundouts. She's certainly a very dangerous hitter. Batting .371 coming into the game, now 26 of 72 at-bats. 3 doubles, 1 triple, and she has poked a home run. Last year she batted .434. Excuse me, not 4. She was .444. In 46 games played that she started, 68 hits, 10 doubles, 4 triples, and a home run there. So she's really certainly very good at making contact, putting it in play. And with runners at first and third, she looks at a first pitch strike. 1 out, top of the 5th. Drake leading the Hawks 2-1. They've got runners at first and third. And the number 2 hitter in the lineup, Macy Johnson, at the plate. Here's the 0-1 to her that she swings at and misses. Actually, it's a foul ball into the backstop. Valtman was on the move on that pitch. See if they couldn't get some kind of a delayed double steal going. So it's no balls and 2 strikes on the graduate senior Macy Johnson. Here comes the pitch from Denali Lekker. Pitch that Johnson has to swing out at just to stay at the plate. It was a nice location by Denali Lekker on that outside part of the plate. And the count remains the same at no balls and 2 strikes. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC. I'm Jerry Koala. Midweek softball out of the Big Ten, the Hawks and the Drake Bulldogs. Top of the 5th, Drake leads it 2-1. 1 out, runners at first and third. Here's the 0-2 to Macy Johnson. She swings and again just makes contact with it. Pitch that's down and away from her. She fouls it back and remains alive in this at-bat. So we'll do it again for the 3rd time on the 0-2 count with 1 out. Runners at the corners. Here's the pitch from Denali Lekker. One on the inside, and again, Johnson gets that bat around and will foul it just off the fist. Denali Lekker throwing that ball around all parts of that plate. Down and away, down, and that one was up and in on Johnson, but she's got to swing at it. Certainly doesn't want to leave it up to the umpire to make a decision. Outfield is playing shallow, and the infield is in about a step or two. Here is the 0-2, one that's hit right at Amber DeSena on a line drive, and she'll haul it in. Sheck doing a nice job to get back to third base. And DeSena thought maybe she'd had a play at first on Emily Valtman, but she got back too. But more importantly, that's just a big out for the Hawks here, getting Macy Johnson, their best hitter, to hit a line drive. And now some changes being made. Rich Calvert for Drake Bulldogs.
Now batting number 20, Aubrey Beitsinger.
So a pinch hitter coming in for Delaney Taylor. Aubrey Beitsinger will be pinch hitting here at the top of the fifth inning. Beitsinger, third-year player, 158 average, 3 hits and 19 at-bats. This is her 16th appearance. She squares to bunt, pulls the bat back, and easily down to second base goes Emily Valtman. So Beitsinger, with those 3 hits, has a double. She has 4 runs batted in on the season. Junior out of Pittsburgh, Kansas. And she's ahead on the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's one that she'll bounce down the first base line and foul. So that'll send the runners back to second and third base. And a 1-1 count on Aubrey Beitsinger. Pinch hitting for Delaney Taylor. Taylor tripled in her last at-bat. Here's the 1-1 from Beitsinger right back to Denali Lekker. Reached out to her right, snags it, and over to first base for the third out of the inning. Drake gets 2 runners on, had them at the corners, unable to get either one of them across, but still lead this game 2-1 as we head into the bottom of the fifth inning. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
And it's time to get ready for this year's adventures. Castle Motors wants to help you keep your vehicle running smoothly. So we're offering a free car care class hosted by your car geek, Jay Castle. April 14th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Castle Motors. RSVP online and plan to join us. Sandwiches and cookies will be provided. This month is a great time to evaluate your vehicle needs and let the experts at Castle Motors help.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
Well, we head into the bottom of the fifth inning. Iowa scored 1 run in the bottom of the first and has been held scoreless since that time. And as a matter of fact, they have had but 2 base runners in each of their next 3 at-bats. So Iowa needs to get some consistency going here. Get some runners on base and get them across the plate. Paige Bedsworth in the circle has done a nice job to keep the Hawks off balance. Bedsworth, a freshman from Fulton, Missouri. She'll be looking at Amber DeSena. And this at-bat, DeSena singled in her first at-bat, the second hit of the Hawks' day. Iowa with just 3 hits on the day. DeSena with 1 of them. She's the number 8 hitter. Coming into the game with a .204 batting average, now 12 of 56 on the season. Here's the first pitch to her that's away from Bedsworth. Amber's got 4 doubles to her credit. Did not play in the Maryland series last weekend. Had a hit in 5 attempts at bats in the Wisconsin series weekend before, and is now ahead in the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Drake infield playing at normal depth. Outfield, I would assume at normal, maybe in a step. Here is the 2-0. It's called strike one down the middle. Ambrose going to make her throw a strike before she went swinging at a pitch. Here's the pitch that's called strike two. Amber also from the Bay Area, from Concord, California, which again is next to Walnut Creek and adjacent to Pleasant Hill. A three-time California state champion in high school. Here is the 2-2 that now becomes 3 balls and 2 strikes. Amber a year ago started 12 of 26 games played, had but 3 hits in 32 at-bats. Full count, 3-2. Here's one that she'll lift up down the third base left field line, and in fair territory is Libby Ryan. That ball, probably on a normal day, would have drifted out of play, but with the wind as strong as it is from the south and west, kept it in play, and an easy fly out for Libby Ryan at short. To bring up Sophia Morris. Sophia playing second base today. Anywhere from short to third to second base she can play. Head coach Renee Gillespie just getting her in the lineup. Got a pretty good bat. 1 out. Here's the first pitch to her that's up and in on her. Sophia with a .308 batting average, starting her 21st game in 25 played, 16 hits in 53 at-bats after flying out to Macy Johnson in center field on her first at-bat. Up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's one she lifts out to left center field. It's going to get down, going to roll to the wall around first base, and on her way to second is the junior Sophia Morris. Great hit, great placement on that. Away from Macy Johnson, in between Johnson and Michaela Rice. And Sophia Morris with a stand-up double. And for Morris, it's her 4th double of the season. Her last double hit this season was against San Diego back on the 18th of March. A 2 RBI double at that point. And the junior from Johnston, junior college at Des Moines Area Community College, now on to the University of Iowa with 1 out at second base. Bring up Brodie Klosterman. Klosterman bounced back to Bedsworth in the circle in her last at-bat. Was hit by a pitcher in her first at-bat and scored back in the first inning. She the only Hawkeye run. Has a teammate in Sophia Morris at second base, and 1 out. Here's the 1-0 to Briley off the plate. 2 balls and no strikes. We'll have a good hit and pitch here on a 2-0 count, especially with a runner at second base. Brodie had a hit in the Maryland series last weekend. She walked 5 times in that series. Here is one that she'll bounce right to second base. And Sheck will pick it up over to Altman, and that will end Briley Klosterman here in the bottom of the 5th inning. 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the 5th. It'll bring up Nia Carter. Carter hit one between second and short in the air in her last at-bat. Caused the right fielder to go back and then come in on it, and then she couldn't make the play. Nia around first and on her way to second, where she ended up in that last inning. Here's a first pitch to her that's called strike one. She sacrifice bunted Brodie Klosterman to second base back in the first inning. So she is 1 for 1 on the day. 423 hitter coming in. Here is the 0-1 to her. It's a pitch that's off the plate. Nia last year had 13 multi-hit games. 1 3-hit game. The others were all 2-hit games. And 5 multi-RBI games a year ago. Here's the 1-1 to her that she'll hit off the fist of the bat and just foul off that left field line. It was very close to the line, but off of it. And so now Nia down in the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Back in the pandemic year when she first got her start with the Iowa Hawks, she led the Big Ten and the Hawks in batting before the season came to an abrupt halt with a .509 average, 28 hits and 55 at-bats. That back in the 2020 season. Down in the count at a ball and 2 strikes. Here's an off-speed pitch on the outside. That now becomes 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sophia Morris at third base. She stroked a one-out double. Moved to third on the ground out by Brodie Klosterman. That's where she sits now. Here's the 2-2 from Nia Carter, one that she'll just get a bat around. Hit cue balled it right off the end of the bat into the backstop, so it's 2-2 continued. In that 2020 season, Nia with 2 doubles, a triple. Before the season came to that halt, 19 starts in 21 games. Last year, started and played in all 44 games, 42 hits and 142 at-bats. A couple of doubles and a couple of triples. 2-2 count. Here it comes from Bedsworth. That's upstairs on Nia Carter. Full count now on the junior from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Has an extended family of athletes, cousins, brothers, uncles, aunts. Her parents both were athletes out in the Northwest Coast. Here's the 3-2, one that she hits out into right center field. It's going to score. Sophia Morris, and around first base and to second is Nia Carter. She's rounding second, going to third, and not being able to handle it. At second base is Sheck. So Nia Carter, a triple, an RBI triple to score Sophia Morris and tie this game at 2 apiece. A double and a triple to her credit here today. She got a good pitch to hit, and she laced it out there into right center field. Rolled all the way to the wall. Made it into third base on the slide. It scored Sophia Morris. Now we got a new ball game, folks. It's a 2-2 game, and Hawks still at bat with 2 outs. Brings up the freshman Tristan Doster working against Bedsworth, and she takes a good cut at the first pitch. Fouls it into the backstop. Doster grounded out to Libby Ryan at shortstop in her last at-bat and doubled in her first at-bat. RBI double that scored Briley Klosterman to give the Hawks the 1-0 lead back in the first inning. Down on the count at no balls and a strike. Here's an off-speed pitch that's upstairs. 1-1 on the freshman from Fort Dodge. 2-time first-team All-State performer for the Dodgers. Has a school record of home runs for the school. Here's the 1-1 to her. She takes a cut at and misses. Started this season on a 5-game hitting streak. 2 of those 5 games were multi-hit games. She had a 4 RBI game against Liberty within that. It was a grand slam home run. That back on the 11th of February when the Hawks were just getting started. Here's the 1-2 to her that she goes after. Wasn't going to let the umpire make a call on her, so she fouled it back. And she remains at the plate with the same count of a ball and 2 strikes. 2 gone. Iowa has put a run in, the triple by Nia Carter, scoring Sophia Morris, and a 2-2 ball game. Paige Bedsworth in the circle for Drake. Here's the 1-2, and Tristan will go after it, swing and miss. But the Hawks get a run and tie the game at 2-2. We'll head into the top of the 6th inning. And Bedsworth, the number 4 hitter, will lead it off for Drake when play resumes. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Basically, if you love basketball and you like to laugh, listen to Miles and Jack Got Mad Boosties, an NBA podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
Lots of things going on in the Iowa Spring Sports. The men's golf team is hosting the Calusa Cup down in Florida. Second round is today. The women's golf team will be at the Mary S. Kauth Invitational in San Antonio, Texas. There right now, starting today. Track and field is at the Sun Angel Classic in Tempe, Arizona, and the Jim Click Invitational in Tucson, Arizona. The track team's dividing up a little bit. I'll remind you of the Musco Twilight track meet that is on the University of Iowa campus on April 23rd. It'll be a big weekend. Softball's going on, baseball's going on, track and field is going on. And we want to congratulate sophomore gymnastics athlete Adeline Kenlin, She's made it to the NCAA championships in Fort Worth, the April 14th through the 16th. She's doing it on the balance beam. The 11th Hawkeye to advance to the Nationals, and the second on the balance beam. Claire Kaji did it back in 2017. The Iowa Gymnastics women's team closed out the season on Saturday night, scoring the second highest of all time, 197.075. So we head into the top of the sixth inning, and Drake and Iowa tied now at 2s, and Paige Bedsworth, the scheduled hitter now, she's being hit for. Heidi Wheeler will pinch hit for Paige Bedsworth. I would assume that we'll see a new pitcher at the beginning of the bottom of the sixth inning, because Bedsworth had been the pitcher and hitting for herself. Heidi Wheeler in the mound, and for the Hawks, Brianne Vasquez is in the circle. Denali Lekker going 5 complete innings, giving up 2 runs. Heidi Wheeler up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. 167 hitter. This is her 22nd appearance, and she looks at a pitch that's up and away. Brianna Vasquez spent some time in the circle over the weekend at Maryland. Comes in making her 23rd appearance. She's up behind on the count at 2 balls and no strikes. Now it's 3-0. 76 innings pitched for Brianna. 97 hits, 62 runs, 52 earned runs. Thus a 4.79 ERA. She has a 5-8 1-loss record. She's walked 40 batters and struck out 70. Behind on the count at 3 balls and no strikes on the pinch hitting Heidi Wheeler. Here is the pitch, and it's called strike 1 right down the middle. Brianna did pitch in the 3rd game of the Maryland series, going 1 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits, 4 runs, all were earned, facing 12 batters. Here is the 3-1 to Wheeler's pitch. It's up away, and it's ball 4. So Drake with a leadoff walk here in the top of the 6th inning by Heidi Wheeler. Bring up Libby Ryan. Ryan on the day 0 for 2, grounded out to Amber DeSena in her last at bat and struck out in her first at bat. Has a teammate at first, and Heidi Wheeler. Heidi Wheeler has stolen 1 base in 2 attempts. Tristan Doster behind the plate has thrown out a runner in 9 attempts in the steal base category. So Libby Ryan up in the count at a ball and no strikes. We're tied at 2. We're in the top of the 6th. Iowa and Drake, a non-conference game. Here is Brianna Vasquez pitch that bunted up into the air. Amber DeSena does a nice job charging down the third base line. A ball was bunted up into the air. It hopped, and DeSena, quick as a cat, actually got it just in front of the circle. That's how fast she got there, and fired it over to Sophia Morris at first base covering as Kalena Burns was charging down the first base line. So it's out number 1, and it does move Heidi Wheeler to second base. Brings up Addie Leitner. Leitner is 1 for 2 on the day, singled in her first at-bat and struck out in her second at-bat. Here's one she'll lift it up into the infield. Coming in to call it is Grace Baines, making the catch is Baines. And just like that, Drake with 2 outs in this top of the 6th inning. Skylar Rigby, the catcher, the sophomore, coming up to the plate next, grounded out to Amber DeSena in her last at-bat and got on and scored in the second inning. She was the first of the 2 runs on the RBI double, 2 RBI double by Carrie Koenig. Rigby got on through a fielder's choice. 2 gone. Here's the first pitch to her. It's called strike 1. Runner at second base and Heidi Wheeler. She pinch hit for Paige Bedsworth. 2 outs. Got a 2-2 game. We're in the top of the 6th. Here is the 0-1 from Brianna Vasquez. Pitch that's off the plate, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Rigby's batting average at 114 with 4 hits. And now 37 at bats. But a double and a triple are her long ball credits. So she certainly has some pop in that bat. Here is the 1-1 from Vasquez. One that Rigby gets around on. She'll foul it off of herself and it'll dribble out into the infield. So it's a ball and 2 strikes. On the sophomore catcher, Skylar Rigby. Here's the 1-2 from Brianna Vasquez. Pitch that is fouled back of the first base stands. Back in the old barnyard. So the count remains the same at a ball and 2 strikes on Skylar Rigby. Here's the pitch, an off-speed pitch out of the center field, right at Brody Klosterman. Had it played nicely. She makes the catch, and that ends Drake in the top of the 6th. We head into the bottom of the 6th inning. Iowa, after tying the game in the bottom of the 5th, 2-2, will send Kalena Burns, Denali Lekker, and Riley Sheehy to the plate for the bottom of the 6th at bat. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes. You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes finally scratched across the run in the bottom of the 5th inning to tie the game at 2s. Held Drake scoreless in the top of the 6th inning as we headed now to the bottom of the 6th inning. Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye Softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. Kalena Burns will step to the right-handed batter's box for the Hawkeyes here, the bottom of the 6th inning. Got a 2-2 ball game. Sophia Morris started that run-scoring 5th inning with a double, and she was hit home on a double by Nia Carter. That's where we stand now at 2-2. Here's the first pitch from Paige Bedsworth to Kalena Burns, and it's one that's called strike right down the middle. Kalena on the day is 0 for 2, 2 flyouts, one to Macy Johnson in center field and Jamie Scheck at second base in her first at bat. Here is the off-speed pitch. It's now 1 ball and 1 strike. Burns with a .236 average coming into the game. Had a .238 average last year and a .403 average in the pandemic-stricken year. In those 22 games that she started and played, she had 29 hits and 72 at-bats, 6 doubles and 5 home runs, and 20 runs batted in. Again, that back in the 2020 season in her freshman year. She now a junior out of Corona, California. Up in the count at 2 balls and a strike. Here's a pitch that's down and in, so it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Paige Bedsworth has gone the distance for Drake in this outing. Bedsworth, the second, well, they've got 3 pitchers that have anywhere from 32 to 34 innings pitched coming into the game. Their number 1 pitcher is Nicole Timmons. 68 innings pitched. Timmons pitched 3 2/3 in the doubleheader yesterday. Here is the 3-2 that Kalena Burns will get around on and foul it back. So in the doubleheader yesterday against Illinois State, in the first game, Timmons went 3 2/3 innings, gave up only 2 hits, but 6 runs, one of them earned. She walked 3, struck out 2, but she, again, their top pitcher coming into this single game against the Hawks. Here's again the 3-2, one that Kalena will get down the third base line, and it's fair ball. Kalena racing around first base on her way to second. Did she get underneath the tag? She does not. And she is called out on a sliding effort. A single for Kalena Burns, and then she is thrown out at second base, trying to stretch that single into a double. Had to try it, had to make him throw it. And she's thrown out. 1 down. It brings up Denali Lekker. Lekker 0 for 2 in the day. Strikeout and a flyout. Lecker's .280 batting average, 23 now of 84. 3 doubles, a triple, and 4 home runs. Is up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here is the 1-0 pitch that is called strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. On the sophomore pitcher today, she designate hits and a designated player. Here is the 1-1 that's popped up close to the backstop, and it just gets over top of the netting. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on the sophomore from Ogden. Denali had only 1 official at bat in the Maryland series. She pitched a couple of different times, a total of 3 innings in that series, 2 different games. Here's the 1-2 to her, a pitch that's just off the plate. She held up on the swing, seeing it outside and high, and that's what the umpire saw too. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. On the sophomore pitcher fielder, here's the 2-2 that's down and in on her. And it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here comes the 3-2 from Paige Bedsworth to Denali Lekker. A pitch that she gets up underneath, out to left field. Is it far enough? It is! Denali Lekker got an inside pitch, got around on it, put it up into the air, and watched it drift over that left field wall for a solo home run. And the Hawks take the lead at 3-2 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And for Denali Lekker, her 5th home run of the season, help her pitching cause out quite a bit too, although Brianna Vasquez is in for her. She got a pitch on the inside, she got a round on, and she knocks it out of the park and gives the Hawks a 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Maybe that can be a little charge that they need heading into further into this at bat. Batting for Riley Sheehy now is Anna Henderson. She'll be pinch hitting for Riley Sheehy here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And for Anna Henderson, this will be her 8th appearance. She has 8 official at-bats, 1 hit. Freshman from just outside of West Lafayette, Indiana. Looking at Paige Bedsworth. Here's the first pitch to her that's upstairs, up and away. Denali Lekker just giving the Iowa Hawkeyes a 3-2 lead on a solo home run in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1 ball and no strikes on the freshman Anna Henderson. Here's the 1-0 that she swings at and misses. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike. On the freshman, she and her twin sister Emma come to the University of Iowa to play softball. Interesting that their parents are Central College grads, Central College in Pella. And they migrated over to outside of West Lafayette, Indiana. Their father is in the agricultural. He's part of the faculty of the ag education system for the University of Purdue. Here's the 1-1 to Anna. Pitch that she gets up underneath, out in the left center field. Drifting back is Macy Johnson making the catch as she trips and falls to the turf. I actually thought that she and the left fielder were going to collide on that because it was in between the two of them, Michaela Rice, but Macy Johnson making the grab in left center field, almost to left field. And that's 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the 6th inning. Sammy Diaz now will come up for Grace Baines. Pinch hitting for Grace Baines here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Here is the first pitch to her. That's outside. Diaz, a .217 hitter. 10 hits and 46 at-bats, a couple of doubles she has to her credit. University of Iowa baseball update for you. The game is in the top of the 2nd, and the Hawks leading Bradley by the score of 3-1. Here's the 1-0 to Sammy. It's called strike one on the inside part of the plate. Got to thank Iowa baseball for sharing some radio time here for this Iowa softball program. Our next radio broadcast will be on April 16th, next Saturday, when the Hawks hosting the Ohio State Buckeyes. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Sammy Diaz. Sophomore. Here's the 1-2 to her that she hits out over the top of second base and in front of the right fielder. Diving catch she makes. And that ends the Hawks in the bottom of the 6th inning on the diving catch by the right fielder for the Drake Bulldogs. But the Hawks get a run, a solo home run from Denali Lekker, and will head into the top of the 7th inning to try to shut down this Drake Bulldogs team. Will Brianna Vasquez be able to do it? We'll find out here shortly. 3-2 Iowa. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Call Premier. Premier Automotive in North Liberty is Eastern Iowa's most trusted name in auto body repair. Our premier reputation is built on providing superior customer service, accurate estimates, and high-quality work. Our experienced staff guarantees your vehicle is restored and back on the road in no time. Premier Automotive in North Liberty. We're online at premierautoiowa.com. Drive safely, but if you hit a deer, call Premier.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye Softball on 800 KXIC.
Home of the Hawkeyes, Finkbine Golf Course and Bumps Restaurant is open for the 2022 golf season, featuring 18 holes of public golf as well as handcrafted American fare. Stop by today to enjoy quality golf at Finkbine Golf Course and delicious food at Bumps Restaurant. Heading into the top of the 7th, the Hawks can shut them down here. They won't have to bat in the bottom of the 7th inning, and the Hawks will break an 8-game losing streak with a win over Drake here tonight. But a lot of things got to happen here for the Hawks. Got to get 3 outs against this Drake Bulldog offense. Michaela Rice will begin it for them. She's the number 8 hitter, the left fielder. She bounced back to Denali Lekker in her last at-bat and got on in the top of the 2nd inning via an error, and she would score one of the 2 runs scored in that inning on the 2-run double by Carrie Koenig. 3-2 the lead for the Hawks. We're in the top of the 7th. Brianna Vasquez in the circle. Ahead on the count at no balls and 1 strike on Michaela Rice. Now it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Rice at .262 hitting. Now 17 for 67. She, with 15 runs scored on the season, fouls one into the netting on the first base line. So she's down on the count at a ball and 2 strikes. .45-degree day right now at this point. Winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour directly out of the west. Here is the 1-2 pitch that's down and in. So 2 balls and 2 strikes on Michaela Rice, sophomore left fielder. Here it is from Brianna Vasquez. Pitch that is upstairs. I think you're going to appeal down to the first base umpire, but she did not go around on that swing. So it's a full count on Michaela Rice. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The number 8 hitter in the lineup, so no matter what, Drake will get to the top of the order. Here's the 3-2 from Vasquez, one that's just dribbled to Grace Baines at short, picks across the diamond and just in front of Rice by a quarter of a step. It was a catch and a step. Nice play by Grace Baines to get the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Jamie Scheck. Scheck got on base in her last at bat. Ended up at third base. The number 9 hitter in the lineup for the Drake Bulldogs. 3-2 the lead for the Hawks. Here's Brianna Vasquez, first pitch to her, and it is down and away, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Jamie Scheck with no official statistics on this season. Here's the 1-0 to her that's called strike 1 in the outside corner. Scheck, a freshman from Cedar Rapids, prepping at Kennedy High School. Had an excellent high school career. Was the major pitcher a year ago. Here's the one that she reaches out and dribbles it to Sammy Diaz. Picks and throws, and they're going to call her out at first base. It was a bang-bang throw play. Diaz had to charge in on it. Sophia Morris charged in on it and makes the out to Kalena Burns. That's 2 gone in Drake's top of the 7th inning. Will Emily Valtman be their final at-bat in this game? She's walked, struck out, and reached on a fielder's choice. Here's the first pitch from Brianna Vasquez, an off-speed pitch. Nice pitch by Brianna. Froze her in that left-handed batter's box. And so Brianna Vasquez up in the count. And no balls and a strike. Here comes the 0-1 from Vasquez, a pitch that's off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Emily Valtman at 3:18 coming into the game. That's certainly going to change. She's 0 for 2 on the day with a walk. Has 28 hits in 90 at-bats. Here's a pitch that's off the plate again, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. 2 outs. We're in the top of the 7th inning. Hawks can get Valtman to go out on this at-bat. It'll end the game. Here's the 2-1 from Vasquez, a pitch that's lifted high but foul. Hits the very top of the press box. Count remains the same at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Infield playing about a step in, except for DeSena. She's 3 steps down the third baseline. Burns a step in, and here's one that's fouled back into the backstop again. Kalena about 2 strides in and a stride down from first base. Morris a step in at second, and Baines step in at short. Outfield is playing 1 to 2 steps shallow. That wind is blowing out to the west. That's right center to right field. 2-2 count on Valtman. Here's the pitch to her that she'll bounce right to Grace Baines. Picks across the diamond, and that ends the 8-game losing streak of the Iowa Hawkeyes with this 3-1 win over the Drake Bulldogs. So the Iowa Hawkeyes with a win over the Drake Bulldogs will be back to wrap things up here on our post game. Coming up, it's Iowa 3, Drake 2. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Chef's chicken sandwiches. The chicken, juicy, succulent, seared. The brioche roll, buttery and toasty. The Parmesan
secret aioli, creamy and rich. All those words. Oh, and you might just be left speechless. Panera's new Chef's Chicken Sandwiches. Enjoy a free drink with purchase of a new Chef's Chicken Sandwich. Restrictions apply. For details, visit panerabread.com/online code.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye softball on 800 KXIC.
Some timely hitting for this Iowa Hawkeye team, and then a solo home run in the bottom of the sixth inning by Denali Lekker gives them the 3-2 win. We'll have our postgame coming up for you. An 8-game losing streak broken by the Iowa Hawkeyes. They go to 17-16 overall. We'll talk more about that coming up. 3-2 the win for the Hawks over Drake. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Hey, I'm Miles Gray. And I'm Jack O'Brien, and we want to tell you about our new podcast, Miles and Jack Got Mad Boosties, an NBA podcast.
Hey, Sam, you're going to have a box score here soon? Okay.
All the amazing moments that keep NBA fans coming back for more. Basically, if you
Thank
love
you.
basketball and you like to laugh, listen to Miles and Jack Got Mad Boosties, an NBA podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye softball on 800 KXIC.
Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes able to top the Drake Bulldogs in this game. Iowa got a run in the very first inning. Drake would come back with two of its own in the top of the second on a two-run double by Kerry Koenig, and then both teams were scoreless through the third and fourth inning at bats. Iowa would come back with a run in the bottom of the fifth inning. A double by Sophia Morris and then a double by Nia Carter scored Morris. That tied the score. And then in the bottom of the sixth, the solo home run from Denali Lekker out to left field give the Hawks the win. They shut them down in the top of the seventh inning and win this game 3-2. The Hawks go to 17-16 overall and 9-20 for the Drake Bulldogs. Postgame coming up here for the Iowa Hawkeye women's softball. They beat Drake today 3-2. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye softball from AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
For listening to Hot 95.7. We know that sometimes you feel like putting the tailgate down and slipping the cowboy boots on. When you want to get your country on, check out our sister station, 96.5 KISS Country. Number one for new country with Bobby Bones in the morning.
Hey, you guys want to hand me that microphone?
And I'm Briley, and we're members of your Iowa Hawkeye softball team. Our team is striving to be number one.
Thank you.
That's why we trust our vehicles to Iowa City Tire and Service.
Work all good?
Number one automotive
Okay.
shop in Iowa
Thank you.
City, where service actually comes first. Iowa City Tire and Service, where their
All right,
customers
thanks.
become friends because
Thanks,
they
Coy.
treat you like family. Find them at
I'll be here Friday.
Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye softball.
Okay.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer.
Okay.
How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them?
Okay.
Or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a two-lane
Well, I mean, it'd be smart if they did, but I don't know that they're going to yet.
We are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that
Well, they won't make a decision probably till Friday morning, you know.
we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines.
Well, it'll be worse than it was 2 weeks ago. Remember we had to move that Wisconsin game? So, all right, okay. Thanks, Coy.
Come to West Branch for a truly unique car buying experience. Our hometown approach at Brown's West Branch Ford and Brown's West Branch Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram means you will meet some of the friendliest people in the car business. Now with 5 Eastern Iowa locations offering all major domestic brands, Brown's is sure to have a new, used vehicle or RV to fit your needs. Visit any one of the Brown's family of dealerships locations or shop online at 4browns.com to find out why we're your hometown dealer no matter where your hometown may be.
If
What?
you see a traffic tie-up and you can pass along the details safely, give us a call on the Grinnell Mutual Traffic Tip Line, 319-423-6868, sponsored by Eden Mutual Insurance in Fenton.
You're listening to University of Iowa Hawkeye softball on 800 KXIC.
Welcome back to Bob Pearl Field as the game has just ended between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Drake Bulldogs. Iowa able to beat the Bulldogs 3-2. The Hawks scored one in the bottom of the first, one in the bottom of the fifth, and one in the bottom of the sixth. That one in the bottom of the sixth, the solo home run from sophomore Denali Lekker, who helped her cause along today. And the win will go to Brianna Vasquez, who goes to 6-8 in the season. But Denali did a nice job in the circle with 5 innings pitched. She gave up 3 hits, 2 runs. Neither one of them were earned. She faced 21 batters, struck out 4 of them, and walked 2 of them in throwing 80 pitches. Brianna Vasquez would come in and go 2 innings pitched. Didn't give up a hit run at all, and she walked only 1 batter. So the Hawks did desperately need a win here this afternoon. They get it from the Drake Bulldogs in a non-conference game by the score of 3-2. The Hawks await now the Minnesota Gophers coming in for a weekend series back in the Big Ten on this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll wrap up this broadcast for you coming up. Iowa defeats Drake 3-2. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Hit a deer? Call Premier. Premier Automotive in North Liberty is Eastern Iowa's most trusted name in auto body repair. Our premier reputation is built on providing superior customer service, accurate estimates, and high-quality work. Our experienced staff guarantees your vehicle is restored and back on the road in no time. Premier Automotive in North Liberty or online at premierautoiowa.com. Drive safely, but if you hit a deer, call Premier.
I realized that I had depression when everything was going great for me, professionally, creatively, in my relationship, but I was on the cusp of tears with even the simplest of tasks. It wasn't an event that made me sad, it was just being. Then I found out that over 350 million people around the world are affected by depression. It's time we talk about mental health. Go to iHeartRadio.com/talk for tips on how to start the conversation. This has been brought to you by NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and iHeartMedia.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a
Mic
full
check
bar
test.
and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become
So you can hold that. You know, right about there, okay? All right. Good. We're still on the radio, so. Yeah, absolutely. The timing is perfect. What?
For those who are Iowan through and through. We're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn
What?
Cyhawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn.
Oh, is that it? Oh, you said that. We can talk about that if you want.
He's going to be with baseball. We'll now wrap up this broadcast on
Okay.
800 KXIC.
Here we go.
Play-by-play voice of the Iowa Hawkeye softball team, Jerry Kowal.
Thank you, Eric, and that a great win for the Iowa Hawkeyes here today by the score of 3-2 over the Drake Bulldogs. And head coach Renee Gillespie is with me now. Coach, is just number one, it's just nice really to pick up the win and the way the Hawks did it.
Yeah, it was nice to see them coming together as a team and just really staying focused and really playing relaxed today. And that's what we were hoping for this weekend is just get that win under our belt and get going for this weekend.
Well, the weather conditions weren't that great, so I think it just seemed like, you did as much as you can, to be able to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to come out here, and if you want to come watch some of our softball games, make sure you bring your blanket and a hot warmer, some hot chocolate, and make sure you're bundled up and ready to watch.
That'd be like today,
game.
but this weekend is going to be a little bit different, I think. So as you take a look at it, I think you scattered, a number of players with at least one hit, and I think, Nia Carter really did a nice job. She had a couple of great hits.
She absolutely did. She came up big. She struggled last weekend and was very frustrated with her performance last weekend. So being able to come in and have a good outing was great. Tristan had a huge hit for us in the gap. Denali coming up with that home run, a crucial home run to be able to put us ahead in that game. And just seeing even, we had, who else was in there? Trying to see who we have on, Sophie. So Sophie, she came up with that
the double.
Hit, yeah,
that's
with that
right.
Double and got things going on that. So I mean, you see a lot of production from a lot of different players today, and with 7 hits and 3 runs. I mean, that was huge to see today. Yeah,
one of the things that the Hawks have had trouble with this season is the amount of errors that were committed, and I thought Amber Descendant did a terrific job at third base.
She absolutely did. We've been switching it up so much this whole season, and we wanted to find out, just kind of see where we were at the beginning of the season, see what we had done at the very first part. We had Clint at third a little bit, but Amber just definitely stepped up, and she had a lot of ground balls to her. Baines had a ton of ground balls to her, came up with big, a lot of speed on Drake's behalf, and so she came in charging a lot of balls and get a lot of outs for us. So left side was busy, but they did a great job today.
They certainly did. And Denali Lekker in the circle to begin with seemed to have pretty good command of her pitches.
She did. She did. We liked playing, kind of pitching her because they were struggling with that drop ball. And we had kind of a plan ahead of time that should go at least twice through the lineup, and did that. Was able to get Bree in at least in the 6th. We hope to get a little bit further than that, but Bree was able to come in on the 6th and close up, and Bree did a fantastic job closing for us.
Yeah, so the 3-2 win for the Hawks ought to, give you a nice little surge going into the weekend series with the Minnesota Gophers.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Minnesota coming in this weekend, and some nicer weather on Saturday and Sunday. And just, come on out and join us. We're excited about it. Our fans are fantastic. They keep us energized, and we definitely need you this weekend.
All right, congratulations on the win here today.
Thank you, Jerry.
Head coach Renee Gillespie with us. Iowa Hawkeye softball program winning over Drake today 3-2, breaking an 8-game losing streak. They await the Minnesota Gophers coming in for the weekend series. Friday's game will be at 5 o'clock. That'll be an internet game only, no radio for that one. Our next radio game will come up on Saturday, April 16th. That's next Saturday. We'll talk more about that in the coming days as we get through some of this schedule. Again, it was a nice pitching performance by Denali Lekker. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs given up, no earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Brianna Vasquez came in. She did pick up the win, but Denali Lekker helped herself along there with a home run in the bottom of the 6th inning to win it, to give the Hawks the 3-2 win. On the other side, Paige Bedsworth, the pitcher, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, gave up all 3 runs. They all were earned. She struck out 3, didn't walk a batter in her 25 batters faced, and threw 85 pitches. The Bulldogs really with only 3 hits on the day, so the Hawks did a nice job in the field as we talked about. So it's a win for the Iowa Hawkeyes over the Drake Bulldogs today by the score of 3-2. Glad you're able to tune in to AM 800 KXIC for this win for Iowa over the Drake Bulldogs. Again, we'll talk to you again on the 16th of April for KXIC Radio, our next radio game. That'll be against the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm Jerry Kowalda. Thanks for tuning in here this afternoon. Again, the Hawks beat Drake by the score of 3-2. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on AM 800 KXIC from Learfield.
Tuning into the Learfield broadcast of the University of Iowa Hawkeye softball team on 800 KXIC. This broadcast was brought to you by Bounce Back at Winter, the City of Coralville, Graduate Hotel, Hawkeye Title and Settlement, Iowa City Tire and Service, Iowa Corn, and Premier